Hey second graders, it's Miss Coonahan. I'm starting a read aloud today, James and the Giant Peach by Roald Dahl. What I'm going to do is post a video of every chapter on YouTube so everybody can listen to and watch our read aloud. I'm going to get started today. So, let me open up James and the Giant Peach by Roald Dahl and get started on chapter 1. James and the Giant Peach. Chapter 1. Until he was 4 years old, James Henry Trotter had a happy life. He lived peacefully with his mother and father in a beautiful house beside the sea. There were always plenty of other children for him to play with, and there was the sandy beach for him to run about on and the ocean to paddle in. It was the perfect life for a small boy. Then, one day, James's mother and father went to London to do some shopping, and there a terrible thing happened. Both of them suddenly got eaten up, in full daylight, mind you, on a crowded street, by an angry rhinoceros which had escaped from the London Zoo. Now, this, as you can imagine, was a rather nasty experience for two such gentle parents, but in the long run, it was far nastier for James. Poor James. Their troubles were over in a jiffy. 35 seconds flat. Poor James, on the other hand, was still very much alive, and all at once, he found himself alone and frightened in a vast, unfriendly world. The lovely little boy, carrying nothing but a small suitcase containing a pair of pajamas and a toothbrush, was sent away to live with his two aunts. Now, I'm going to show you the pictures. And now when you're listening, you can think about the picture you just saw. Their names were Aunt Sponge and Aunt Spiker, and I am sorry to say that they were both really horrible people. They were selfish and lazy and cruel, and right from the beginning, they started hitting poor James for almost no reason at all. They never called him by his real name, but always referred to him as, "You disgusting little beast," or "You filthy nuisance," or "You miserable creature." And they certainly never gave him any toys to play with or any picture books to look at. His room was as bare as a prison cell. They lived, Aunt Sponge, Aunt Spiker, and now James, in a small ramshackle house on top of a high hill in the south of England. The hill was so high that from almost anywhere in the garden, James could look down and see for miles and miles across a marvelous landscape of woods and fields. And on a very clear day, if he looked in the right direction, he could see a tiny gray dot far away on the horizon, which was the house that he used to live in with his beloved mother and father. And just beyond that, he could see the ocean itself, a long, thin streak of blackish blue, like a line of ink beneath the rim of the sky. But James was never allowed to go down off the top of that hill. Neither Aunt Sponge nor Aunt Spiker could ever be bothered to take him out herself, not even for a small walk or a picnic, and he certainly was not permitted to go alone. "The nasty little beast will only get into mischief if he goes out of the garden," Aunt Spiker had said, and terrible punishments were promised to him, such as being locked in the cellar with the rats for a week if he even dared to climb over the fence. The garden, which covered the whole top of the hill, was large and lonely, and the only tree in the entire place, apart from a clump of dirty old bushes at the far end, was an ancient peach tree that never gave any peaches. There was no swing, no seesaw, no sandpit, and no other children were ever invited to come up the hill to play with poor James. There wasn't so much as a dog or a cat around to keep him company, and as time went on, he became sadder and sadder and more lonely, and he used to spend hours every day standing at the bottom of the garden, gazing wistfully at the lovely but forbidden world of woods and fields and ocean that was spread out below him like a magic carpet. And here we have James. Looks kind of like a crazy fence. Let's keep thinking about that. That is the end of chapter 1. In the next video, we will start chapter 2.